Good day, folks. Lord Hawkeye here again, doing his little thing. This time on my main, since I'm sure some people were curious to see it. I guess. What did I want to talk about this time? One of the big reasons why we don't tend to buy into statists saying that government programs are good or whatever is because they refuse to actually make proper comparisons with them, and that's got to be the biggest weakness in their arguments. What do I mean by that? Well, let's make a little analogy, just for an idea. Let's say that I said that I was the fastest person in the land. Of course, you'd be skeptical. You'd say, oh yeah, let me race you. I think I could do faster. If you challenged me to a race and I said, no, I can't let you race, you'll just wreck the race, I can't allow that. If I said I was the fastest, but I refused to accept any challenges, would you find my claim to be the least bit credible? No, of course you wouldn't. And this is why I always ask the question that statists will never answer. If this state program is so great, why do they have to use force to keep out any competition? Like, if the police is so great, why don't they allow competing police? Or with public health care, why don't they allow private clinics? Up in Canada, people try to start them and the state harasses them all the time. And even in the case where they do allow it, they still won't do it fairly. Like, I get a lot of British people who say, oh, our healthcare system's great, and you can go private if you want to. Well, there's a huge flaw in that one too. You see, let's say you wanted to compare who has better sales, Coke or Pepsi. But there was legislation that says, oh, but if you buy Pepsi, you have to buy an equal amount of Coke too. And of course, Coke would boast higher sales, and if they then declared themselves the best, would you consider that fair? No, of course you wouldn't. Because they've obviously got a huge unfair advantage. It's the same situation with state schooling in Britain and in other places too. Because you see, even if you go private, you're still taxed for public schooling. Thus, if you want to go private, you essentially have to pay twice, just like the Coke thing. So, once again, it's not a fair competition. They always have to cheat and take unfair advantages. And that's the thing right there. I've always believed that cheating is an admission of inferiority. So once again, it's not because I'm closed-minded, it's because they refuse to actually use real arguments. They always have to cheat, they always have to mince words, they always have to do whatever, but they will never actually compete on fair grounds. Now, what if, say, state schooling allowed you the option of going private and getting a tax refund, then maybe it could make a case. The fact that it absolutely refuses to do this pretty much says it all for how confident they actually are in it. That is to say, they're not. They know they would lose in a fair fight easily, which is why they avoid a fair fight at all costs. It's kind of like what Phil Hellenius once said. If someone's walking down the street and avoiding the cracks in the sidewalk as he goes, there's one thing you can be sure of, and that is, he knows the cracks are there. This is the lie that statists will not tell, because they know they would get busted for it. So statists, if you really were confident in your positions, you would welcome these challenges because they would only legitimize your stance. The fact that you refuse to take up these challenges is the reason why we don't buy it. Well, that's all I got to say about that for today, so until next time, be aware and be wise.